So, welcome guys to another episode of the Growth Log. I am Amanzo.
And I'm Davia. And
Mhm.
today we're talking about, are you an attention seeker? Are you somebody that's craving recognition or genuine connection? So what do you think
Hmm.
about that?
Interesting. Attention seekers.
Mhm.
Like initially, just in the term attention seeker, it can come off as being something bad. But when it's broken up into those two subsets, where are you craving recognition?
Mhm.
Are you looking for a genuine connection? It brings a different perspective to the whole scenario. So,
Right.
yes and no, and yes and yes. Makes sense because it's tricky. Yeah,
Yeah.
because what's wrong with actually wanting recognition?
Mm.
What's wrong with that? And then I always like to say that nothing is cast in stone. There's no right way and no wrong way per se. But some society, and some persons would be like, you want too much recognition. Why do you want to do that? Why are you posting all these things on social media? You're trying to get attention. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're getting attention, right, you can actually create connection, right, with people.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Yeah, what's your
Right.
take?
Yeah. Like what you said is interesting because it's like you're using one to get the other. So you kind of getting the best of both worlds. Like, who said we can't have our cake and eat it too? I can get recognition and build genuine connection. And I feel
Mhm.
like, to me, I feel like it's human nature, right? To like seek connection with people, and also to seek recognition for what we're doing. And I think the challenge is being able to maneuver when you aren't receiving the amount of recognition that you want, because then you start to reach for it, and it might come off as you're trying too hard to get
Sure.
attention. So it's like being able to kind of supplement that recognition for yourself so that you aren't craving it from other people. And yeah, that I think that can be a challenge for people to like, how can I reward myself, like give myself that reward of being recognized
Yes.
for everything I'm doing, because we're looking for that external validation. But
Yeah.
we have to be able to do it for ourselves. Yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think?
It's interesting, like that when you were explaining just now, a thought come to me where, you know, why does someone need attention or seek attention? And
Hmm.
sometimes you don't even understand. Sometimes it goes way back to like, their childhood, probably didn't get the attention that they needed at that point in time.
Yeah.
And what's wrong for them trying to seek that attention when they're older? Who are we to tell someone not to seek their attention? you
Mm.
know yeah, right, like
Yeah.
we,
I,
we are not quote unquote their parents are. We don't know what they have been through, why they're actually probably
yeah.
looking for that attention. So sometimes it's good for us to like kind of like try to understand you know
Hmm.
why is it that a person is seeking this, or a person is feeling this particular way, instead of being a judge and be like, you seek too much attention. Why you don't just chill. I just be empathetic towards them and really stop and really like wonder, you know,
Mm.
why does this person is seeking this attention, and try to
Yeah.
go from that perspective than go from the prosecutor to like, why do you want attention? You know?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. 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 I think what you said about being empathic, like having empathy for somebody's situation. You don't know what people are going through, and that little bit of recognition could be huge for them, because like you said, maybe they didn't grow up getting the attention they needed as a child. So yeah, and I feel like I can kind of relate to that. You know, I was an overachiever. I've always been that way. And after doing a lot of self-reflection and self-work, I think a lot of it does come from maybe not getting the recognition that I might have expected to get.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, like, oh, I did amazing at this, but
Yeah.
my parents didn't say, oh, good job for doing that. You know what I mean? They might not think that they need to do that. But for me, it's
Yeah.
like, well, why didn't they recognize me? Like, yeah, I want a cookie. My dad used to say all the time, well, you want a cookie? Yeah, I do actually. I do want that reward
Yeah.
for what I've done. So yeah, I think it a lot of it can be like just your personal experience in life, and that's
Mhm.
okay. Like you said, why who is to say that, you know, you are the persecutor, that you get to say if somebody is asking for too much attention or not. So is it really a bad thing to be an attention seeker? Yeah, it could hold you back in some instances, but
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with it. Again, it's like kind of in our nature as human
Yeah.
beings to crave that like being accepted by other people.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Another flip side, we start mentioning about parenting our parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like the last true appreciation, right? I would say recognition that all of us have gotten was probably when we were a child. Before we start to work. That first time we made our first step, everyone was like, "Yeah, you can do it, right?" But
Yeah.
after you take that first step, then it's like, stop, no, don't do this, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say it's like you're trying to get that recognition, right? From
Mm-hmm.
different areas. And the next side to this is really crazy. You know, Someone who say love you as like a parents who they love you, right? They would
Mm-hmm.
not let you go without food for 6 hours, 6 days, 6 years, 60 years. But when it comes on to getting recognition or the attention, right? Or the appreciation, you will go for 60 years and no appreciation. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying this, some just bring like awareness, like for us overall, to try, in any area we can when it comes to attention, to try to be better in at
Mm-hmm.
least give the recognition, right? Or the
Yeah.
attention to people who we care about, So quote unquote, they don't have to seek the recognition, say elsewhere, So yeah,
Yeah.
that was where my mind went just now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what you said is like spot on. Like as babies, we are literally like trained to expect that reward when we do something.
Hmm.
Like you how you said they encourage you, like, wow, good job, you did your first step, like I'm so proud of you. And yeah, maybe we don't understand the words, but
Hmm.
we understand what's happening. Like we are getting rewarded for doing something. So yeah, as you get older, the reward lessons, like,
Yep.
you know, you get good grades. Oh, good job, honey, keep it up.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, good job, I'm so proud of you anymore. Like it changes. And then as you become an adult, you land a new job. Oh, good
Yeah. Yeah.
job.
Okay.
Maybe you don't even
Yeah.
get that.
Maybe.
Maybe it's okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it seems like it does diminish. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to not expect like to get that recognition since we were raised as human beings
Yeah.
to get it. So yeah, very interesting. But as far as being able to give it to yourself, like what are some tips do you feel that you've been able to use to give yourself what you need so that
Mhm.
you aren't being an attention seeker, like to the point where it's too much?
Much. I'll say, just um really accepting myself for who I am. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? With whatever quote unquote flaws that may be, just being accepting of who I am. I know that I am enough, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by accepting that I'm enough, regardless of wherever I am, not comparing myself to anyone else, I'm the best person I can be in this moment. That
Hmm.
allow me to not quote unquote crave for external attention. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. What was you?
I mean, yeah, definitely the same thing. Like just realizing that I am enough, but I do a couple of things that are a little bit more like I guess external versus like internally, like mentally. So as
Mhm.
far as external, I will kind of talk to myself, like so I will say out loud, "Good job." Or you know how like in school we used to like pat ourselves on the back, like I mean, yeah, sometimes I will. I'll be like, good job, or I'll look in the mirror, you did that. Like, you know, so
Yeah.
I will like speak to myself as if I'm a different person. And journaling also, because when I journal, I'm writing to myself essentially. So I might
Mhm.
tell myself, like, I did this, I'm so proud of myself. And yeah, it's kind of like receiving external validation, but from myself. So it's like
Yeah.
cycled back to me. But yeah, the mental aspect, the internal, like you said, is the first thing I think that you need to do. And then adding in those external things like giving yourself a hug or a good job or high five in the mirror, like those things are just added reward. So yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense, because like there's no right and wrong way, because many persons have different ways of doing certain things. So
Yeah.
we're talking about this. A person who are watching this as well can just decide, okay, probably this doesn't work for me, but this work for me. So you can choose whatever one that works for you, or probably research it.
Yeah.
Ask someone what they do, or go on Google wherever and find something that basically works for you to give yourself that attention, that recognition. So you're not quote unquote, sorry to say, seeking,
Right.
recognition.
Yeah. And comment down below too, for those watching, like tell us what you do, or how you feel about the topic, because I feel like there's so many ways that you can, give yourself the recognition. So tell us what you do. But as far as craving genuine connection, I think that pretty much it's all the same. Like we crave that connection because as children, that's what we had with our parents when they were giving us the recognition that's building connections. So I feel like it's all tied together, versus it being one or the other. It feels like they kind of almost are a package deal to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting when we think about, say, quote unquote social media, right? Sad to say,
Hmm.
everyone's on social media, right?
Hmm.
Like the algorithm itself, right? You may quote unquote create any content, and then the content in your mind is great, but
Hmm.
then the likes, for some reason, our algorithm for some reason did not quote unquote give you the likes that you expected. So then you
Right.
start to question yourself, like, wow, not good enough, or this wasn't good enough. But then
Hmm.
we understand that social media itself is not, it's not measuring what exactly content is about. It's about what's quote unquote, say, likable or clickable, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
you have to just be aware that we need to create our own benchmark for our own self, and just know that what we're creating, if we're in that space or what we're posting, be comfortable with our own selves. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And social
Mhm.
media is like, it's a place where we're supposed to connect, but it seems like it's kind of also a place where we disconnect because, like, as we were talking, the human connection portion of the question, like, is it genuine connection that you're seeking?
Mhm.
Initially, when you join social media, yeah, you do want to connect with people. But then, like you said, when you don't get the recognition, aka the amount of likes or views, then you start to feel disconnected from everyone because you're like, well, I thought this was great. Why didn't everyone else? And it kind of pulls you away from that, genuine connection. So yeah, it's really interesting how social media kind of has that effect of like kind of switching the script. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And then, like, is it social media or is it us?
Right.
That's the question. Is it social media, or is it really we
Mhm.
actually saying it is social media? Because we cannot just blame everything on social media. But
Right. Right.
what about, we, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Are we
yeah,
doing
so
our part?
yeah. So it's like checking with yourself, right? And
Hmm.
like think about it. Is it social media causing this, or is really we causing this to ourselves? Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us what you'll think down below. Is it social media? Is it us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all we got time for today.
Yes.
But thanks for tuning in to another episode. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right. Truths.